You locked your front door this morning. That little piece of metal in your pocket, your key, is a 4,000-year-old Egyptian invention. Not the idea of a lock, the actual mechanism. The exact trick inside your door was figured out by someone in Egypt around 2000 BC. We treat the lock as basic, boring even. It is the most ignored object you own. You touch it every single day and never think about it. But sit with it for a second. A lock is a physical password. You are hiding a secret, a shape, inside a block of wood or metal, and the only way through is to know that exact shape. That is a genuinely deep idea, and a man in ancient Egypt had it and built it with nothing but wood and gravity. So in this video, how the lock in your door actually works, the part nobody ever sees, how a clunky wooden Egyptian version became the tiny brass thing on your keychain, and why, 4,000 years later, we are still using his exact design. Let us open it up. Here is the whole secret, and it is beautiful. Inside your lock, there is a cylinder, the part the key goes into, sitting inside a housing. Normally, the cylinder cannot turn because a row of little pins drops down across the seam between them, pinning the two together. Each pin is in two pieces, a top pin in the housing, a bottom pin in the cylinder, pushed down by a spring. As long as a pin bridges that seam, the line where the cylinder meets the housing, the cylinder is locked. That line has a name, the shear line. Remember it, it is the whole game. Now the key, look at the jagged top edge. Those peaks and valleys are not decoration. Each notch is a precise height. Slide the key in, and every pin rides up onto its own notch. A tall notch lifts a pin high. A shallow notch barely lifts it. And here is the magic. The pins are cut to different lengths, so the correct key lifts every pin to exactly the shear line. The tops all clear into the housing, the bottoms all drop into the cylinder, and for one instant the seam is clean. Nothing crosses it. Turn the key, the cylinder spins free, the bolt slides, the door opens. Wrong key? At least one pin sits across the shear line and nothing moves. Now wind back 4,000 years. The Egyptian version is the same idea, just huge. A wooden bolt, wooden pins dropping into holes by gravity, and a key the size of a toothbrush with pegs on it. Push it in, the pegs lift the pins to the line, you slide the bolt. Same shear line, same logic, 4,000 years before your brass key existed. Quick one, if a 4,000-year-old door lock is bending your brain a little, that is the whole channel. Subscribe, and the next everyday object you own gets the same treatment. Okay, so how did we get from a wooden toothbrush key to the slim brass one on your ring? First upgrade, the Romans. They shrank it, cast it in iron and bronze, and added two things: metal springs to push the pins down reliably, and an obsession with tiny keys. Roman keys got so small that people wore them as rings. The first keys you could not lose. Then, and this is the strange part, the design basically went to sleep for over 1,000 years. Locks got fancier on the outside, wards, curtains, decoration, but the core pin idea sat there, barely touched. Then 1840s, America, a man named Linus Yale and then his son Linus Yale Jr. pick up the ancient Egyptian pin principle and do the one thing 4,000 years of locksmiths had not. They make it small, precise, and cheap to manufacture by the million. The son's design from 1861, the pin tumbler cylinder, is almost exactly the lock in your door right now. A little brass cylinder, a row of spring-loaded pins, a flat serrated key. He did not invent the mechanism. He miniaturized a 4,000-year-old Egyptian one. The name on your lock might literally still say Yale. And that is the pattern. The deep idea gets invented once in antiquity. Centuries later, someone just shrinks it and scales it. The vending machine, the automatic door, the lock, same shape every time. Here is what I love about the lock. It is the cleanest example of one idea, turning a secret into a shape. Your key is not magic. It is a number, a sequence of heights carved into metal. The lock is just a machine that checks that number physically with falling pins. A password you can hold in your hand, which is also exactly why locks can be picked. Real pins are not perfect. There are tiny tolerances. A picker pushes the pins one at a time, finds the shear line by feel, and lets the cylinder creep open with no key at all. Picking is not breaking the lock. It is having a quiet conversation with the shear line, pin by pin. The same line that makes the lock work is the line that lets it be beaten. And did the original survive? The wooden Egyptian locks mostly rotted away. Wood does not last 4,000 years. But the idea did. It is not in a museum. It is in your pocket. Every time you lift those pins to the shear line and turn, you are running a 4,000-year-old Egyptian program. Somebody near the Nile decided a secret could be a shape, and you have carried his invention around every day without noticing. That is the everyday equation. I will see you in the next one.